A phone rings inside the office of one of the most powerful intelligence leaders in the world. The man who answers the phone is John Brennan, the director of the CIA. On the other end of the call is not a foreign spy, not a criminal mastermind, not a terrorist. It is a teenager. The voice on the phone calmly says, "I own you." The teenager demands $5 trillion. At first it sounds like a prank call, but within seconds it becomes clear that this is not a joke. The person on the phone has access to Brennan's personal information, his private data, and details that should only exist inside government systems. Somehow, the CIA director is being targeted by a hacker, and the hacker is only 15 years old, a teenager from England who uses the online name Cracker. He is the leader of a small hacker group called Crackers with Attitude, also known as CWA. This group of teenagers would eventually embarrass and expose parts of the United States intelligence infrastructure. Long before anyone heard the name Crackers with Attitude, a different kind of training ground shaped the future of teenage hackers. It did not look like a secret lab or a smoky internet cafe. It looked like a bedroom, a glowing monitor, and a multiplayer game running late into the night. Inside online gaming worlds, competition was not just about reflexes. It was about who could unlock the best mods, who could bend the rules, who could find a way to win when the system said you could not. Forums and chat rooms became workshops. Mod files, tiny pieces of code that changed how a game worked, were shared, copied, and picked apart. One player would upload a file that gave infinite ammo. Another would reverse engineer it, changing the code to make a character fly. Every tweak was a lesson in how software could be broken apart and rebuilt. Skills spread fast. Someone posted a script that bypassed anti-cheat checks, and within hours, others improved it, building reputations on how clever or reckless their edits could be. Live code sharing in Discord and IRC channels turned strangers into partners. If you could read logs, spot patterns, and explain your steps, you earned respect. These were not just games anymore. They were classrooms for social engineering, password resets, and the art of finding the weakest link. For some, it was about winning. For others, it was about learning how systems, digital and human, could be manipulated. In these digital playgrounds, a new kind of expertise was quietly taking shape. Two usernames began to stand out in the chaos of late-night chats and code drops. Cracker, a teenager from a small town in the UK, and Default, an American high schooler from Virginia, each built reputations for pushing boundaries further than most dared. They met in an IRC channel devoted to game modding, trading exploits, and swapping stories about bypassing bans. It started as friendly rivalry. Who could hack a leaderboard? Who could trick a moderator? Who could script the cleverest prank? But the stakes grew with each success. Private messages turned into hours-long conversations. Cracker showed Default how to fish for forgotten passwords using public records and simple guesswork. Default, in turn, introduced Cracker to obscure forums where stolen credentials and social engineering tips were currency. The thrill of breaking in, of seeing something you were not supposed to see, became addictive. They wanted more than bragging rights. They wanted to make a mark. In late 2014, after a night spent watching the movie Hackers and mocking the security of supposedly untouchable sites, they settled on a name: Crackers with Attitude, or CWA. It was part joke, part warning. A signal that the line between mischief and mission had blurred. Their chats shifted from games to targets. The idea of challenging power, of exposing the arrogance of authority, now felt within reach. For Cracker and Default, a simple question took hold. If the world's most secure systems could be outsmarted, who would dare try? In the years after the Snowden leaks, a new idea began to take hold in the corners of hacker forums and IRC chats. Breaking into a system wasn't just a game anymore. It was a way to send a message, sometimes loud, sometimes personal. The logic was simple: expose the hidden machinery of power, And maybe that power would have to answer for itself. One night, in March 2014, a Danish government website vanished, replaced by a manifesto. The message, splashed across the Ministry of Justice homepage, demanded a halt to a controversial law and signed off with a rallying cry. #DefendLiberty. By morning, the story had spread beyond Denmark. News outlets reported that the defacement forced Parliament to postpone the vote, if only for a few weeks. The hackers behind it called themselves the Free Consent Hackers. They didn't care about money. They wanted headlines. And they got them. This was more than digital graffiti. It was proof that a few lines of code, a stolen login, or a clever exploit could twist the arm of lawmakers. For some, it was activism. For others, it was a way to prove that no authority was safe. The line between prank and protest blurred. The lesson stuck with teenagers watching from afar. A hack could do more than embarrass. It could change what happened in the real world. Windsor University's financial database sat quietly on a Caribbean server, holding records for thousands of students. One night in August 2015, that silence broke. Default, now restless and searching for bigger targets, found a vulnerability in the university's system. The breach itself was almost clinical. No ransom note, no demands for payment. Instead, a single command wiped out $9.4 million in student loan entries. The university's official statement called it a catastrophic loss. For default, it was proof even established institutions could be undone by a teenager with enough patience and the right exploit. The forums lit up. Some called it genius. Others called it reckless. In the threads, users argued over whether default was a criminal or a digital Robin Hood. The debate always circled back to the same point: Snowden. The leaks from 2013 had changed the conversation. Surveillance wasn't just a rumor anymore. It was documented fact. Hackers began to see themselves as part of a larger struggle. Every deleted record, every leaked email, became a form of protest. Default posted cryptic messages. If they watch us, why shouldn't we watch them? Confidence grew. The Windsor breach wasn't just a technical victory. It was a signal. The next step wouldn't be a faceless institution. It would be a person, a name everyone recognized. Breaking into a high-value account rarely starts with code. It starts with a voice, a question, and a target who doesn't know they're being tested. The playbook is simple, but devastating. First, gather scraps of public data. Birthdays, addresses, maybe a pet's name pulled from old social media posts. Next, use that information to impersonate the victim, calling a customer support line with the right mix of urgency and confidence. The final step is persuasion. Convince the operator to reset a password, change recovery details, or reveal just enough to open the door. In the mid-2010s, most telecom and email providers relied on security questions and phone-based resets. Multi-factor authentication was rare, even for sensitive accounts. A well-timed phone call, armed with just a few facts, could bypass layers of digital security. Operators wanted to help. They were trained to resolve problems quickly, not to interrogate every caller. A sanitized example: a teenager dials a support line, claims to be locked out, and recites an address found in a public database. The operator asks for the last 4 digits of a social security number. The caller guesses, wrong the first time, but with a second try, hits the mark. Within minutes, the password is reset. No malware, no brute force, just human trust, quietly exploited. The same methods that worked on forgotten gaming accounts now scaled to real-world targets, with consequences no one in the call center could imagine. On December 13, 2016, the world learned that the Director of National Intelligence, James Clapper, had been hacked. Screenshots of Clapper's Verizon FiOS account and personal emails began circulating online, stamped with pastebin links and hacker tags. One image showed his home phone, redirected to a number linked to the Free Palestine movement, a deliberate taunt. The data included authentication tokens, timestamps, and IP addresses, all pointing back to a single teenage operator, Cracker. News outlets rushed to verify the leaks. Within hours, the story exploded across BBC, NBC and Security Week. Reporters published the same screenshots. Investigators were now combing for clues. The breach became a headline, not just a crime. For the intelligence community, it was a public humiliation. This wasn't a shadowy foreign adversary. It was a teenager, working from a bedroom, exposing the personal life of America's top spy. Inside law enforcement, panic turned to action. The FBI, Secret Service, and UK authorities formed a joint task force. Digital forensics teams traced login attempts and VPN logs across borders, matching pastebin file hashes to seized devices. The chase was relentless, but the damage was already done. The breach had become a spectacle, amplified by every tweet and news report. For Cracker, it was proof that even the most powerful could be made vulnerable. For investigators, the manhunt was on. A teenager pierced the armor of America's intelligence elite, armed not with code, but with curiosity and nerve. Today, the greatest threat isn't sophisticated malware. It's the human behind the keyboard. As our world grows more connected, our blind spots only multiply. The next breach may already be in motion.